Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Find us on Facebook.com/SuperFunPodcast, Twitter.com/SuperFunPodcast, Patreon.com/SuperFunPodcast, Instagram at SuperFunPodcast Go, iTunes at SuperFunPodcast Go. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go! I'm hosting tonight. My name's Ralph. In front of me, I have Mr. Steve.
Hey, check out these Deku nuts.
That's a tough act to follow. And then we have Harry over here.
Yeah, I'm an internet creep.
Internet weirdo. And then beside me, I have Mr. Clark.
I have a Deku stick to go along with Steve's Deku nuts.
A lot of nuts and sticks around here, and yeah, okay. We're doing Majora's Mask, in case you couldn't tell. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook.com/SuperFunPodcast. All right, initial impressions. What do you gentlemen think?
I actually never played this one before, so I was excited to. The very last Zelda game that I've ever played was Ocarina of Time, and I heard a lot about it, so when it came up, I was pretty excited.
Harry?
This is a game I was excited to play for a long time, but I think what held me back, which we'll get into game development, I think this one you needed the expansion on the Nintendo 64 to play.
Required.
Yeah, didn't have that, so again, it fell through the cracks for all these years. I'm glad we picked it up for the podcast. I wish I had more fun playing this, though.
You had a tough childhood, Harry. No expansion pack.
Yeah.
Clark?
So, I have a confession to make. This is actually the first Zelda game that I've ever completed.
Oh, wow.
This is probably, other than the Super Nintendo one, this is probably the only one that I've dumped more than a few hours into.
I was just thinking when you said...
I played the Super Nintendo one a lot.
Okay.
But I never beat it.
Right.
I had it when I was younger. But I had a lot of fun playing this, but the difference is I didn't have to use a piece of shit Nintendo 64 controller. I got to use my DS. The control scheme's a lot better, and better visuals.
Okay. I was just going to say, it's interesting, because Zelda's barely in this one. She's, like, in one cutscene.
Right in the beginning, right?
Yeah, there is, no Zelda, and this is the first Legend of Zelda game that you've beaten. So, Majora's Mask, my first impressions, I actually remember reading in a magazine about Zelda Gaiden after Ocarina of Time. I was excited in 1999 for Majora's Mask. It came out, I played it, I loved it, I had the soundtrack. I listened to the soundtrack for years. I know that kind of sounds weird, but like the Song of Healing had like this weird effect on me where I would listen to it over and over and over again. And not to get sound like I'm super depressed or anything where I was, but the game kind of is dark like that. There's that, I don't want to say depressed mood because the world's going to end or anything, but I really liked it, enjoyed it, and I've loved it since. I have 3 copies of it. I have the promotional disc for the GameCube, I have it on the Wii U, and I have a hard cart.
Oh, he has a hard...
Yeah,
hard cart.
I have a hard cart.
Yeah.
I couldn't give this enough praise. Not to get into the review, but...
He's just going to drop the score already.
Boom, boom.
We're going to 98%. Done.
Yeah, I played it over and over again. Loved it until moved on to the GameCube. All right, let's move right on into game development.
Game development.
All right, so like I mentioned before, you needed the expansion pack to play this. I think that was, at the time, how many kids were going to pay that kind of money just for an expansion pack? So
Well,
I
I
think
mean,
The dedicated ones.
Kids wouldn't, their parents would.
I still have
I-
the expansion pack box, actually.
All right.
It's the only box I have for the N64 is my expansion pack box. I don't know why, but I did have it.
Real quick, just to be completely 100% transparent, Ralph is a Nintendo fanboy. I say that with tons of admiration.
I am a recovering fanboy.
I think you're the only Nintendo fanboy that we have on the podcast.
Okay, let me put it this way. I was a pretty big fanboy during the N64 era, and then during the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era,
You grew up a
I
little
branched out. I completely branched out. Yeah, I grew up a little bit. I got hair down there. Nice. Yeah,
I didn't insinuate any of that.
I went there.
Go.
I'm going there. No,
It's itchy.
When I was 18 and I got my PS2, I got hair in my on my balls.
As sex tricky really made him drop, man. Let me tell you.
It's tricky.
Tricky.
I was a Nintendo fanboy before I knew what a fanboy was. Like, legitimately, I just had an N64, and that's what I played and loved. PlayStation, no interest, none. Dreamcast, that's cool, no interest in it. So, full disclosure, recovering Nintendo fanboy. I still like Nintendo. I think they've made some missteps. Let's just move on, I think.
But the point I was trying to make with the
expansion pack.
The expansion pack,
Yes.
though, I think that, at least for me, I don't know how many other people I can speak for, but I see that as a barrier. Because I believe it was retailed at the price of a new game.
You know, we should have been friends. Because I had 2 expansion packs.
Oh, man.
I think I gave one away because I got Donkey Kong 64 as a gift, and that one came with the expansion pack because there was a bug in the game that they could not fix, and the only thing that fixed it was having the expansion pack in the N64. So that one came in like a big box. I think it was like $70 or $80, and it had the game and the expansion pack. I'm positive I gave mine away to somebody.
Well, I was just saying, I think it was a barrier for some.
Sure.
That maybe it kind of mitigated the audience that went from Ocarina to Majora's.
I remember. I got it for Perfect Dark.
Wasn't it a package deal?
You needed the expansion pack to play the main game, and there was actually like a high, low res mode because you could do like multiplayer with bots without the expansion pack, but literally you couldn't play the game without it. So I got that first, got the expansion pack, then Majora's, then Donkey Kong, I'm almost positive.
My blockade was that I never owned a 64, so...
I didn't own a 64
No,
either.
I only got to play Ocarina because I traded with my friend my PlayStation so he could play Metal Gear Solid and so I could play Ocarina of Time.
That's a fair trade.
Yeah.
I did stuff like that back in the day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like, hey, I want to play this and you have that. Oh, well, I want to play this and you have that. Hey, we'll trade. Don't.
That's how it used to be before YouTube, man. Couldn't just go watch some gameplay footage on the fucking...
No, you had to
That's
see
on the
true.
fucking
No,
internet.
That's damn true. I actually remember I didn't have a PlayStation like I just said. A friend of mine, shout out Ryan Whitman, we haven't talked in years.
Shout out to Ryan Whitman.
Shout out, Ryan.
He loaned me his
Great guy.
play. Yeah, he's not bad.
Ooh,
He loaned me
Ryan
his
Shade.
PlayStation 1, and I really wanted to play Final Fantasy 7. And I think I thought I had it, but I actually had 8. And I played 8 for about a couple hours, and I gave it back to him. Because I remember the beginning of the game. I remember the, what is it?
Majora's Mask?
Can I tell you now?
Because are we talking about
You're
Majora's
talking
Mask?
the intro video on Final Fantasy VIII.
I remember the area and the school. What is it called?
Blam Garden.
The garden. I remember the garden.
You
and
tell him, Harry.
That's
Oh, I fucking
obviously...
You're shitting on
Yeah.
Harry's dreams because, like,
No.
that was his game for a while.
Yeah, I
Hey, Harry.
understand. No.
Me too.
Yeah.
No,
Loved
it's okay,
8.
guys. It's okay. You completely understood.
So that's why I got my Final Fantasy VIII tattoo on my arm.
Obviously, the beginning
he
of that game is different from Final Fantasy VII.
It's a gunblade.
I got the line hard on my dick. That's what happens when I take my underwear off. That tune just comes out.
I'll be waiting here.
I call my dick my gunblade.
That is violent.
All right.
It's sharp and it fires shots.
Impractically,
hurt
no one knows
more?
actually how it works.
Yeah, right? To channel the spoony one for a moment and hope that's not...
Every time it shoots, it's a surprise to everybody.
hope that's not...
So that
internet
R1
poison.
trigger.
Does a sword hurt more if you load it with bullets? What happens when
Yes.
you pull the trigger?
It does.
It's the concept, man. It's just so fucking cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Majora's-
So Majora's
Yeah.
Mask, it did require the expansion pack. I was going to save that for graphics because I think one of the reasons they needed to have it, overall, with the textures were better, the draw distance were better. You could see more. You could see more characters on the screen at one time, but that blur effect, that motion blur effect that is in Majora's Mask and it's not in Ocarina of Time, the expansion pack is part of that. Obviously, doubling the RAM of the console.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I don't really.
Is that what
like
the
it,
expansion
though.
pack did?
Yeah, that's
Double the RAM?
Yeah, it was from 4 to 8 megs, I think.
Wow.
A whole 8 megs.
Oh, 8
Whole
megs.
8 megabytes.
Oh yeah. But back to the development of the game. Unless you were done with your point, Harry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that was all I wanted to say. It just like I think that was a big part of that game, though. Like, and why I didn't get to it sooner. To be honest with you.
Which I think is a shame because if you had this game when it came out new, I think you would have taken the time and you would have enjoyed it and you you would probably love it. Whereas with this time, I understand you didn't have quite as good experience. Quite as good an experience. We'll get into it. Other things with game development. So Majora's Mask came out in the year 2000 in Japan.
The Millennium.
Yeah, I have April 27th came out in Japan, August 26th in North America, and then a little bit later, I think, for the PAL region for Europe. It was developed in 1 year. So the game was directed by Eiji Aonuma. I think I'm saying his name right. He actually was involved in Ocarina of Time. I think he made the dungeons, if I'm right, for the temples. He made like the actual like setup and concept for those. He was promoted to director by Miyamoto, and Miyamoto was trying to get him actually to work on the Master Quest. And Onuma said he didn't want to work on Master Quest because he spent 5 years making what he thought were perfect temples and dungeons. So for those of you who don't know, the Master Quest is actually just Ocarina of Time, where they changed the dungeons and temples. They turned the insides, flipped everything all around, changed the puzzles. He didn't want to redo the temples or dungeons for Ocarina of Time. He wanted to make a new Zelda game. He felt that he had spent 5 years making perfect temples, perfect dungeons. He did not want to go back to it. So he pitched that idea to Miyamoto, like, let's make a new game. And Miyamoto said, yeah, sure, but you got to do it in a year, which was unheard of at the time, that he could actually, try to make a full 3D Zelda in 1 year. It had taken 5 years to make Ocarina, but he accepted the challenge, and he and his team worked very diligently, overworked, like weekends, everything, trying to get this game pushed through. So much so that the director actually had a nightmare about Deku scrubs. And yeah, he had the crazy nightmare apparently about the Deku like coming at him. And the next day he went to work, and one of the designers had made that cutscene from the very beginning of the game when Link turns into the Deku scrub, where it's just the scrubs getting bigger and bigger and closer and closer and closer. And he was completely flabbergasted because that was exactly like his dream, which is really weird. Yeah, like not that the whole game's development was weird like that, or there were other anomalies, but that little nugget of information, it just adds something to this game for me in part of the development. Allegedly, once Miyamoto had seen how far they had come in so short of time, he said, okay, you can have some more time to do it. And Onuma was pissed at this, saying, like, we have pushed so hard to get this done for a year. No, we're going to have it complete and ready in that time frame. And they met their deadline.
That's pretty impressive.
Maybe they should have taken some extra time.
When you look at the game in the context of 2000, I saw that there were similarities with the same characters and everything, but for me, there was no diminishment. Looking at it now, I can see that these corners were cut to make that year development.
I think it is important to note that they were able to crunch this game out so quickly because they based everything off of the previous engine.
Yeah, they used a lot of the resources from Ocarina.
Yeah,
that
and when you're playing the game, you feel it, like the environments, the creatures that are in the game, even the character models. Like, it just looks like almost like a big copy and paste.
But that is worked into the story because Termina is sort of an alternate reality to Hyrule. So yes, they had that limitation and they wrote it into the story, which I think makes it work. Like, you have the ranch, the Milk Ranch, and it's almost the same characters who are in Ocarina.
Yes.
Like it's sort of like everyone, not necessarily the shadow of who they are in Ocarina, but I kind of like the way that they pitched it and they made that work. One other thing I wanted to mention and forgot to was that in the beginning, it was supposed to be a 7-day cycle, not just a 3-day cycle. And after they started to get into the game, they realized that the amount of work that would take to have a 7-day cycle and like have Anju and Kafei's couple's quest over 7 days would have been a nightmare.
That would have been terrible.
To play and to design.
That would have been so terrible.
Yeah, that
now, if there was
bad.
a system like in the 3DS game where you can pick by the hour where you want to move around to,
yeah, that was a
that
nice
would
luxury
work.
that I had.
Whoa, what?
We'll get into that.
In the gameplay.
Okay, yeah, that's
there are some differences.
Because I played on the N64.
I played on the DS because I don't have a 64.
I played on the Wii U.
Well, neither do I. I borrow Ralph's. Okay.
Played on the 64.
Right.
You go.
All right, let's move right on into the story.
Story.
All right, can I start off? Because I need some clarification on that.
No. Ralph, go ahead. No.
No, I mean, yeah, hit me with your best shot.
Okay.
Fire away.
I was waiting
This
for
is
that.
supposed to be treated like a sequel, correct?
This is a direct sequel to Ocarina.
Yeah,
the Link who's in the forest in the beginning.
Is it Ocarina or Ocarina? Because I'm going to be saying that a bunch, and I want to know which one's...
Tomato. I mean,
Okay.
I say Ocarina. Some people say Ocarina. I think I say both.
I say Ocarina.
Ocarina.
Ocarina? Okay. All right.
The fucking flute!
Or Kana. Or King.
The oval flute!
Playing those holes. All the fingers.
Play all the holes with all the fingers.
I had one...
Azora's penis. Because they're blue.
You could say Goron's rock hard all the time.
All right. So I had a huge problem with the story.
Go.
And please clarify it. So it looks... Okay, when you're opening up in the game, it looks like he's just marching away from the events at Hyrule.
Yeah.
On Epona. He's crossing the woods. He's basically like...
Epona,
sorry. La-di-da. He's basically crossing the countryside, leaving that country to enter foreign lands. So... No, let me finish.
Go ahead. You heard the click?
So in the events of Ocarina of Time, there is a point where you can teleport, I think it's 7 years into the future.
Correct.
Bypassing the events of Majora's Mask. Because he is still young Link when he's traveling to this other country. Now, within that 3-day span of when the events start in Majora's Mask, the moon will crash into the Earth.
Termina.
So it would just be Termina specifically that's destroyed.
Specifically Termina.
Okay.
So
a moon, if it crashed into our Earth, would only destroy like one city.
Okay. Okay.
Ralph's about to give you the Stranger Things.
I know. He's
Let
explanation.
me start at the beginning. So, at the end of the Ocarina of Time, Link goes back in time and warns Zelda of everything that happens. And at the very end, he puts the Master Sword back, and Navi floats up into the sky and leaves him. Now, because...
What's Navi?
the original fairy from the first.
Not
From
Tattle.
Ocarina.
Not Taintle?
Tattle.
Yeah.
Taintle. Taintle.
You know what? At night in the dark, you can call it whatever you want, Clark.
I call him a Master Sword.
Not the big Goron sword? Okay. The Great Fairy Sword? The Gilded Sword?
That's what you call you.
Oh, okay. We just just degraded here. Let me tell my piece. So,
Go ahead and wield your Great Fairy Sword.
Harry obviously hasn't watched hours of videos theorizing the Zelda timeline.
Nobody should.
And he doesn't have a copy of Hyrule Historia to read and review and know that
Why does that exist?
that the end of Ocarina of Time in general splits onto 3 separate timelines. So with this timeline, Link goes back to the past. He warns Zelda, hey, I just went through all this shit. This is what happened. Ganon's bad. Ganon is banished at that point. You know, in the beginning of the game, I don't know if you got to that point where you're still child Link and you visit Zelda and she gives you, I think
Are we talking Ocarina?
We are.
So when you see when she's riding away on the horse in the night and she tosses you the...
Yeah. Around that time, you could say.
Okay.
At the end of Ocarina, he goes back to that time and warns her. That's where Majora starts. You're young Link, you've defeated Ganon in the future, and you've gone back to your original timeline. You're searching for Navi. That's where you are in the forest in the beginning of Majora's Mask.
Because you're looking for fairies.
Okay, so let's get into the main body of the story for Majora's. Go.
It starts off...
Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. I'm interrupting you.
So, wait, sorry. I'm interrupting you.
So it doesn't take away from the fact he's apologizing for it, but he's still going to do it.
Steve, I'm sorry. I want to answer the other part to Harry's question. So, Termina, when Link gets knocked unconscious and the Skull Kid wearing Majora's Mask steals his horse and he falls down that long pit, he goes into essentially another dimension. Termina is a world, not just the city. So the world of Termina is going to be destroyed, but Hyrule isn't in danger.
Or maybe Link hit his head and fell into a coma, and it was all just a dream.
It's all just a fever dream.
Yeah,
That's another theory.
He's dead
It
in his
could be a
car.
dream. No, it's
Just
another
like Silent Hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another theory is that
Full
Link dies
circle.
at the end of the fall, and that this is all just in his mind.
This is what he imagines before he dies. He wants to go on one more great grand adventure.
I'll admit that that's a little vague, but Termina's not
So
like
assuming
the other
that
side
Link
of the
is
planet.
dead? I like that theory.
We're glad you found one that you really liked, Harry.
Yeah.
And complete. I could have just stopped the game right there.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead. All right, fuck it.
So the story of this game is obviously much darker than Ocarina, and I feel like Ocarina is sort of like vanilla, and Majora's is not chocolate, but it's very
Mocha?
it's very different for Zelda. Like typically, A Link to the Past is like, okay, Ganon's a bad guy, Zelda's a princess, you gotta save her, you gotta get the Master Sword, you gotta kill Ganon in the end. There's a lot of Zeldas like that. Twilight Princess is like that. Wind Waker's like that. Ocarina's like that. The original's like that. Majora's Mask.
So you're saying all those games are unoriginal and you don't like them?
Well, well, hold on. I mean, even
Backing them into a corner.
No. That's
Dick.
you can detract from the Legend of
I'll
Zelda
get
all
him
you
to
want.
admit that he likes Majora's Mask the best out of all of them before the end of the podcast.
Good luck.
You don't have to twist my arm to say that.
Boom, done. Did it.
Good job, Clark.
I did it for you, listeners.
Yeah, you guys are waiting with bated breath. No, really. I mean, that's one of the detractions from the franchise is that the story is so similar, and it's essentially one of those just Nintendo things where it's like, oh, here's Mario. Well, Bowser's the bad guy, steals Peach for 20 years. Zelda is guilty of the same thing. It's been the same story over and over again. Skyward Sword, you're Link, you have to stop Demise, who is basically Ganon.
So pretty much the premise of the story, as we all find out pretty close after, you fall down the well and become unconscious while you're looking for Navi, is there's this giant-ass moon coming down, and it's going to smash things. I like...
No, I
Moon smash.
actually one of my favorite parts of the game is that opening cutscene where Skull Kid takes the ocarina and is like playing it in front of you and kind of like just dancing and like taunting you. I just thought it was really funny.
I used to always just let that cutscene, or let the text box just wait, because you have to push a button to advance it when he's playing it, and they laugh.
Yeah,
And then he plays another note.
Yeah,
and they
that's
laugh.
exactly what I'm talking about.
I would just leave that on for
I
for
thought
hours.
I thought that was probably the most lighthearted that this entire story gets, because it gets real dark. Like the Deku scrub, you're wearing faces.
You're
entire
wearing
time.
souls.
You're wearing like souls and stuff. Like all the masks that he puts on are dead characters in this. The Deku scrub there's a family that's looking for their child. Like one of the Dekus are looking for their child, and like you're wearing his face.
The butler at
Yeah.
the palace, the Deku Palace.
Yeah, it's really dark. It's something that I thought was really odd, because I actually akin most of the Zelda games more towards the kid side of gaming. Not saying it's just for kids or anything, but like the most they've ever put out is like a teen rated thing, if that. I think most of them are E for everyone, but I think Twilight Princess was teen because of the actual swordplay in it or whatever. But
Link's based on Peter Pan. I mean,
Yeah.
Nintendo's blatant that they love Disney, and Miyamoto was influenced by it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like I thought the story was definitely really dark.
I liked it about it, how it was different. It wasn't just your cut and dry Legend of Zelda game. And I remember being younger and really thinking like, oh, you have to go around and get a bunch of masks. How fun, could that be of a game? And then once actually seeing, well, I mean, that's when we were like, what, 12, 13, somewhere around there when that game came out.
14.
Quit it, Steve. You're dating us.
At that time, we were only like 14 and 13.
But no, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, it seems like a kiddish idea to like go around and look at the masks. It's actually kind of more towards that mature idea of
It's right up there with Armageddon.
I just don't want to miss a thing in those 3 days.
A giant meteor is going to come to Earth and destroy
Then
it.
Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck go up to try to destroy it, and then
I don't want to.
and then Ben Affleck was going to do it. And
Damn
then,
it, I was thinking of it, Ralph. I couldn't remember what the song was.
So the Skull Kid, he's just an urchin, or he's just like out gallivanting in the woods, and one day he discovers the mask salesman.
I don't think there's too much to explore on his story, though, to be honest with you. I mean, he was just an outcast kid. And then I think, I don't know, just the nature of being a lonesome individual.
Well, that's why the mask picks him.
True. But
To begin with, is because he is an outcast, and he's trying to stand out, really, and trying to get the attention of people.
oh, that helped get some attention.
But
Oh, yeah,
I think he's
absolutely.
a placeholder more than anything, because he's
Yeah.
not really the real villain
No,
of the
well,
game.
right.
He's a pawn.
He's a vessel
Yes.
for the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes to that whole thing again where we're talking about how like the masks represent a sad story usually behind it, and that's his. He was alone and sad, and he kind of just let this. He finds the two fairies, and then the mask kind of finds him, and he's like, "Oh, well, I can get people to like me this way." Puts the mask on, boom.
Yeah.
Evil guy summons the moon to come crash on Termina.
Now, they did make a point towards the end of the game. It was like, oh, he couldn't use my full abilities. I forget the exact wording of it or something like that. The mask was basically saying like he was a pawn.
Right,
But
yeah,
that,
right.
that he couldn't take advantage of the full abilities of the mask, which makes me to believe that maybe, what is his name again?
Skull Kid?
Skull Kid. Maybe he had some influence on the actions of the mask. Maybe not 100%
Holding him
by
back.
all means, but if the mask is suggesting that he couldn't take full advantage of the mask, there must have been something he was inputting, like some, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well,
he
I-
wasn't totally unconscious in the mask.
Well, because he, as Skull Kid with the mask on, does revisit some of the places. Like, people talk about how they knew him before the mask. It seems like the mask couldn't fully transform itself into, like, the end bosses while also attached to the Skull Kid. I think that whole, it couldn't realize its true self because it was attached to somebody. Maybe it had to do a certain amount of things before it could fully transform. I don't know the full story behind that. It doesn't really explain that part of the story to it.
No, there's a lot of vagueness, I think, in certain aspects of this story.
Yeah, sure.
To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah. The masks themselves, just like, they're all about sadness. I can't really get past that point. It's such a big staple of this. Like,
Sadness and healing are the main themes of the game.
yeah. There's the Zora mask, the third mask that
Yeah.
you get.
Yeah.
It's like a band member who gets really hurt out in the waves from the tsunami or the hurricane or whatever's closing off the temple. It hurts him. They're like a water dwelling creature. You get him to shore. You have to play the song Healing on him, and it kills him. And you're like, what the fuck?
Well, okay, the healing interpreted could be not just physical, but emotional healing as well.
It
It puts his soul at ease so that he can pass, more or less, in that instance.
Because he heard those tasty tunes.
I could see that. But another thing is, like, that's the only time that the Song of Healing has a reverse effect that I noticed anyway. Because you do have to play it a few times, and it's usually positive. It's usually a positive outcome.
But no, there was the one guy who wanted. Oh man, what
Pamela
was
and her father in the music box house.
Yeah, with the...
it? No, because
Mummy?
that was a good one.
You like-
Because he
oh,
got
oh,
he
it
got
turned
the
into
mask
positive.
off,
Right,
and
right.
yeah, that was a positive.
Yeah.
But there was another one where it was too far gone, but it healed his soul before he could die. I think it was the guy who was trying to do the dance or something like that, who would sit on the rocks.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the guy I'm thinking of?
because
because
he
he dies.
Actually, I thought he was already dead.
Maybe.
Oh, the demon on the mushroom?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so that... Yeah,
I think there's
mean,
a couple instances.
that kind of is like, healing versus a demon.
Yeah.
Like, that's... I
Oh yeah,
get
because
that.
there's also the Goron ghost that you play it to as well.
That's for his soul. He's already dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, Clark, I think, makes a good point that he isn't quite dead yet. You play the Song of Healing and he...
Yeah,
expires?
he's
Okay.
like still in his physical form. He's not a demon. He's just a different creature. You play the song for him, he dies, and then you inherit his face and
Face off.
face off. And tonight we're going to be attacking Nick Cage.
I want to take his face.
Oh,
That movie was on just the other day.
it was.
I recorded that part.
Yeah,
and put
I know.
it on my
I-
Instagram.
Yeah,
You saw
I
it.
saw it. Yeah.
Let's go. I'm bored. Let's go.
So,
They do that creepy thing
like
when they
a-
touch their faces.
like a peach.
oh God, here we go. Prepare yourself for your fucking national treasure, motherfucker.
not the bees, not the bees.
Bees. Fuck bees.
No, they're in my eyes. They're in my eyes.
Oh man.
All
How to
right,
get burned? How to get burned? How to get burned? How to get burned? How to get burned?
all right.
Wrong movie.
So you play the Song of Healing
Put
for
the
the
money
Zora.
back in
It
the
dies, and then you inherit like his fishbone guitar thing.
Yep.
And you inherit the mask and stuff. And that's a really like sad moment. One thing that pisses me off, all right, I finished the water temple, did not get to go see the concert. I didn't have time to go watch the concert.
You didn't miss much.
Go to the milk bar. I think you have to play all the parts.
Oh, is that it?
No, that's two
there's
separate things.
there's a concert after you beat the water temple, but you had to have killed the boss.
I thought the concert was at the milk bar, though.
I don't think so, because it's the Indigos.
Yeah.
Or Indigo goes.
Yeah, they're doing like a sound check at the... I think, well, maybe I'm...
No, because that's when you play all the different masks.
I did rush through
No,
it.
okay, the biggest point from that is because what's-her-name lost her voice before.
Right.
She gets her voice back after you clear that temple.
Yeah.
And everybody's like rejoicing that she has her voice back again and they're able to continue the concert.
Yeah, she's like Fish
okay.
Beyonce.
I looked at it as a different way because he already knew he was going to die.
The damage had been done.
He already knows that he was going to go.
But, okay.
So wait, no, let me finish.
All right.
So when you play the Song of Healing, he's a musician. So I saw a connection between that, and that gave his spirit ease. And then since you have some tasty jams you're kicking out of that ocarina.
Oh, only the tastiest of jams.
Exactly.
We put him gentle into
he knows
that good
that
night.
his music can live on, so that's when he bestows upon you his fucking face so you can turn to a guitar playing fish.
You can masquerade as him.
But I kind of saw it in a way kind of like that, where it was, oh, all right, he died. But then I was like, oh, well, I could kind of see why it worked out the way it did.
And sorry, real quick.
right.
The funniest thing about that whole exchange is when you go to the grave and you click on it to activate it. It's hey. Hey! Hey! He also says baby when you're talking to him once. Hey, baby! Like, yeah, I was just like, what?
Well, it also confused me when he already knew he was fucked up in the water, and he just started like jamming out, like doing this guitar solo, expending all this energy, and then passes out and dies.
I barely have any energy to go on. Like,
Now, before we get too far away from it, I know Steve said he already knew he was going to die.
I didn't say that.
No, you did.
Nope,
you said
false.
something along this line.
Totally not true.
Roll the tape back. Roll it back.
Let's assume that he thought the Song of Healing was going to heal him. How funny
Wrong.
is that he's like, oh yeah, Song of Healing, and then he's just, blah.
I'm going to do a good thing. Oh, shit.
it would have been funnier if like Link played the Song of Healing, the Zora drops to the ground, and he just like looks around real quick and then books it.
Stops, looks at the ocarina.
Picks his pocket for rupees.
Exit stage.
10,000
true.
rupees.
That's true. I never caught that. Never put that together.
So, yeah, we already talked about the Deku is the son of the butler in the Deku Palace. You're wearing his son's face when you're the Deku Prince, or Deku Scrub, rather.
And they surmise that the stump that you see in the beginning of the game when you're first heading into Clocktown, there's like that stump with a face. They surmise that that's actually that Deku, and that the Skull Kid basically
Cast him into the tree.
Turned him into the tree, and then put that onto Link. Not long after.
Check that out.
Because at the end in the credits, you see the butler.
I think he's at the
that
tree.
stump.
Yeah.
Okay, let me critique for a moment with some of the
go for it.
storylines.
Put your critique hat on.
When I think Zelda, what I really want to get to is the temples. What I found with this game, as opposed to at least Ocarina is the only other Zelda I really have experience with, but I felt this one droned on with the subplot before each temple. I felt even some of those segments were longer than the actual temple itself, just trying to get through some of the story. And I feel like they could have summed it up, maybe not had as many fetch quests in between to kind of resolve some of these, but lay the story on me if you want to lay out this entire story, but please don't stretch it as long as they did. I found it very excruciating at points.
Padding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was padding.
It added unnecessary hours of gameplay to this game.
I totally agree with that. The whole grabbing the eggs from the pirate fortress.
Probably the worst offender.
Yes. Motherfucker. I went in there the first time, and I only had 3 jars.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was such a pain in the ass. I couldn't get it done in a 3-day span.
Though
I was actually in the same situation. I was able to get it done, but I had to go back a second time
Yeah.
just for that last egg. But I had the stone mask.
Nice.
Where you were invisible.
I didn't have that.
Made it so easy. I would just run past everybody.
I didn't
I
have it
read
at that
that
point.
the 3DS version, it's the pirate's hideout.
Yeah,
like
but
the
you have
stone
to
mask?
you have to take them a red potion, and I was already on day 2,
right,
which
right,
means
right.
that I would have to go back and do all the fucking So that's another
Okay.
thing. That's a big thing, and we'll touch on that more with gameplay. But like, you can fuck yourself with this game sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that's
you
true.
can totally get too far into something and realize that you can't do it, and you'll have to just restart to the beginning. But that's all part of the story, I guess, too, really, is you're reliving these 3 days over and over and over again, and you're trying to get all these tasks done to try to face off with Skull Kid at the end. Another really funny part with the Skull Kid that I appreciated was when you go to the observatory and you spot him on top of the clock tower, and he's like,
just
it's almost like he sees you, and then he does like a little pantomime thing, and then he turns around and starts smacking his ass at you, and then like starts pantomiming again, and then smacking his ass. I thought it was
little
fucking
bitch.
hilarious.
Hey, little
That's
bitch.
funny. The moments of humor, few though they are, they always were spot on. I thought. Just
Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
Iconic Canyon with the king and the 2 heads, and like them going back and forth and being funny because the game is so dark throughout. Having those little moments of levity, they stand out.
Oh yeah, the king and his 2 sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun
Yeah.
fact, when you look at him on top of the
Fun
tower
fact.
on the 3rd day, how usually when you see him, like if you see him on the 1st day, he does his little ass smack thing and then jumps down off.
Yeah.
3rd day, he stays up. So he finds you look at him, and he doesn't really do like the pantomime. He doesn't do like the smack and jump down at the end. It's
Really?
it's a different thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know that. I only really went and spied him out twice because there was so much other shit to do.
Yeah, Moon's Tear.
Yeah.
Was that Moon's Tier used for anything else besides that buying that one log space?
No, you just need to buy that one log space, and really,
Do it over and over again.
I only did it twice.
Little side note. I don't know where to put this in our discussion with story, but
In your
this
butt.
really caught me off guard, and I had to mention it to you guys.
Go.
Selling milk at the horse training farm. Anybody find that a little odd? They're specifically
You
saying
mean
it's
the
a horse.
the brothers?
Yes. They were like, "Oh, you want to buy milk from our horse training farm?"
Horse milk.
Like, yeah. Well,
Horse milk.
I don't know.
No one ever said it was cow's
The
milk.
females, Harry. The females.
I don't know. I was just like, "What the fuck?" Like, I don't know. It.
This is my kind of place.
That's a good point. Good catch.
Yeah. Dialogue.
So they only sell that on the 2nd day, and that's because did you fully do the milk farm?
I think so. With like where you had to hunt the aliens at night. Is
Yeah,
that what
and
you're
then
talking about?
and then the next day you have to guide her with the carriage of milk.
Yes, did that. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
so-
that little thing where you're shooting the guys running up on the carriage and
So
everything.
think about that. If you don't assist her that day, they have the milk because they successfully stole the milk.
Milk thieves.
Yeah.
Because if you help her, she ends up in
Clocktown.
Clocktown. If you don't, she doesn't show up there. Again,
that's-
a dark thing
Yeah.
because she doesn't make it if you don't save her.
Oh, no,
She's
my
not on the
milk.
farm on the 3rd day? Like, if you wait for the guy to chisel through the rock. Is she? I thought she's on the farm on the 3rd day.
I'm not sure,
Yeah. Okay.
to be completely honest. I do know that if you don't save the little girl, she's gone.
Oh, she's not, like, weird? I thought she was, like, dazed and confused.
I think
No?
that I thought I read somewhere because
She gets abducted.
well, yeah, she gets abducted. I
on the
messed up.
2nd day.
I had
but
a,
I thought the 3rd day she's back.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, she comes back on the
She's all
3rd
dazed
day.
and confused from anal probes.
Jesus.
God.
Child. Nice.
She's a digital child. Get the fuck out of here.
One thing that I
don't
noticed and wanted to point out was I find it odd that the Skull Kid is friends with the 4 legendary giants that are in different points of the compass. Isn't that odd that they were friends?
He's friends with the 4 children wearing the mask underneath the tree at the end.
Well, yes, but
Skull Kid's old. From how I recollect the ending, Skull Kid is there with the mask on, with Majora's mask, right?
The one where you're running. You
no,
mean
I
at
thought
the
they
tree?
all had the
At the
body
tree, at
of
the giant tree.
I thought they all had the body of the happy salesman.
No.
Just little.
I don't think so.
No?
No, why would it be? Because the happy salesman's still a person. You don't go and fight the happy salesman 4 times.
Well, what I mean is the little children that have the masks for the bosses.
Yeah.
if you look at like the back of their head and the side, you can tell that it's the head of the Happy Mask salesman.
Well, they might have used that and put a mask on it because they just needed something of that kind of shape. I don't know why they wouldn't use another.
And then I thought Under the
kid,
Tree
but-
was the Happy Mask salesman as a kid again with Majora's Mask on. Am I wrong?
No, well, they had all the different masks on.
Yeah, they had the four bosses
Right.
and Majora's.
Right.
From my understanding, because Skull Kid talks about his 4 friends.
Right.
I think the 4 masks found his 4 friends and left him, because that's why all the giants were like, we left our friend, and this is what has befallen him.
I'm saying I think we're saying the same thing. I just think it's weird that the Skull Kid is friends with these 4 giants.
They weren't giants to begin with.
They weren't.
No, I don't think they were all giants to begin with. I think there were 5 children. The masks found them, made them the 4 temple gods, and then Skull Kid is left to age and stuff like that. He's significantly
Well, that's
older.
a motivation for taking the mask of Majora. If his friends disappeared after they got masks,
Exactly.
But what are you basing that on, though? Is that just your interpretation, or
That's
It's in the
kind of
game?
how it. That's based off of how they spoke about each other.
yeah, okay.
I mean, that's just how I noticed it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know the lore. I am just going off. This is the one time that I've played this game.
Right? No, I know.
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
I don't know if this is going to even bring more questions to the table. So the bosses of each of the respective temples. I remember it saying something like you freed the soul or something like that. The entity. I forget what it said. But you basically collect the remains of those creatures
Yeah.
that you defeat in the temples. Is there any bit of correlation between them and those gods? Are the gods supposed to be a representation of the soul that was trapped in... You know what I'm saying?
So
It's like you freeing those gods by defeating those...
yeah,
You are,
because more and
but-
more show up once you defeat the boss.
Yeah. Again, let's just press out like this is... There's a lot of interpretation that can be had with this game.
Yeah, because they
It's
don't
not
directly
very-
tell you the
They
storyline.
don't. They
Right.
really don't.
And all I wanted to say was I think it's really odd that this Skull Kid, who had basically no friends, and it makes sense his friends went away or they left him behind, why would he be, or how would the friendship happen between like these 4, I picture them as literal giants who are almost like gods, that they're just casually friends with a Skull Kid that
Because
works around the woods.
he's a special Skull Kid.
Well, I just...
Well, he mentions all. So Skull Kid talks about how he has these friends that were they were all special and they go away.
Yeah.
I think that's when all of the children
Giants.
go and then become like the gods or whatever of the temples. And because of it's all weird time vortex bullshit for the story, it's very possible that they could all be old and not have aged from the actual masks, like wearing the masks originally, because the masks are then taken from them and they get locked away, like their spirits get locked away, and then they come back. I don't know. It's a really confusing ending, but I think there is a correlation between Skull Kids and his friends with the masks and Majora's Mask, because Skull Kid's motivation for taking Majora's Mask when it tells him that he can have power is that, oh, well, I've lost all my friends. I don't know what's going on with them. I'm going to destroy the world.
Natural conclusion.
Or maybe he's just a dick that likes to steal because he wanted a mask.
Maybe
He's
was just
a little
puppet
asshole.
of the mask.
That's all he is.
Possibly.
Now, did they
A little
clarify
thief.
that he lost his friends? I thought he just didn't have friends to begin with.
No, he did have friends.
He did.
Yes. I think it's if you talk to him, like right at the end, you know how they kind of talk
Yeah.
and they go their separate ways. I think that's something that he mentions. Like, I used to have these friends, blah, blah, blah. You kind of see it like through a different few cutscenes throughout the game. That's how I pieced it together. I could be off. I'm. It's just how I interpreted it. It's how I saw the game.
I gotcha. But I think there... So there was that plot line, but I think it was very stretched. Like, there was a little bit in the beginning and a little bit at the end. There really wasn't much of it throughout the course of the game. Throughout the course of the game, it was all these little subplots dealing
Right.
with each region of Termina,
Yeah.
correct? Like, you had... Because I don't think we touched on the Goron storyline at all.
No, we didn't.
No.
How it was, like, frozen over. There was the king tried to stop it, but I guess he got blown away, and...
Yeah.
I guess there really wasn't much to that storyline.
Well,
now that
that's
I
one of
think
my
about it.
favorite areas, though. that whole thing is one of my favorite. I even like the temple. I love when you defeat the boss that it turns to spring, and then you can have your sword worked on. And you can do the races.
That is pretty cool.
I like the whole.
Oh God,
area.
that fucking race. We'll talk about that when we get the gameplay.
Wait, sure, yeah.
I'm glad they had the giant gimp to work on my sword.
Yeah. He is a giant gimp.
Yeah. It's like, all right, settle down. You zipper your mouth again.
The two composing brothers, Sharp and Flat.
Sharp and Flat notes.
The one who teaches you the Song of Storms. Flat was trapped after Sharp made a deal with the devil, then made a song to flood him with emotion so that he's like just completely banished when you play it for him, which is like super dark. He's like, I spent all this time banished here, and I made a song that's going to fucking kill my brother. Like,
I did like that storyline.
The Song of 1,000 Tears.
yeah. Also, the mummies in that area were fucking creepy, like the convulsions and stuff.
No, I remember that from Ocarina time. That was a throwback there. But they always
Re-Dead. They're Re-Deads with
Re-Dead.
With wrappings on them.
But no, they were always very creepy.
Yeah,
because I hate how you lose control of your controller for a moment there, where you're like completely vulnerable,
and then you just wrap their arms and legs around you and suck the life out of you.
Yeah,
just like a woman.
Also, did anyone get... There's like a conversation between Taintle or whatever. What is
Tattle.
it? Tattle? Is
Yeah.
it Tattle?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the other fairy name is Tail. It's Tattletale.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Huh.
Oh wow,
Taint.
That's cute.
Taint and Grundle.
Taint and Grundle, yeah.
Taint and
Grundle. So Taintle, she looks over to Link and she's like, hey, you weren't bad in there. Have you done this before? And Link could have had the perfect response. Yeah, bitch, I'm the hero of time. Would have been amazing. Yeah. But he's just like, yeah, I want to know where the mailman was going. But like he felt like so trapped in Clocktown that when you finally like you take his hat and you're like, no, I got this, dude. He like books. Yeah. He's like fucking gone. He runs towards Icona, I think, or Icona.
The worst area to run to.
Doesn't the Happy Mask Salesman say something?
Oh, yeah, he says something like 5 fucking times. He starts talking to you at the end and like walking away, and then talking to you more walking away. It's like, oh, goodbye now. Then he comes back and keeps talking to you. It's like, dude, are you going to go, or do you have something to say? Fucking pick one, make up your mind. I don't like his indecisiveness and his his creepy goddamn face and his little laugh, and when he's shaking little Link. Shaking little boys. What's fucking wrong with you?
Shaking little boys.
You don't shake the hero of time.
All right, should we talk here how creepy that man is?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
His design.
Apparently he's based on Miyamoto. Or allegedly he's based on Miyamoto.
Really?
If you look at his face and you look at... Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
Ugh.
Partially, anyway. And that's why there's a Mario mask, other than the obvious reference. There's a Mario mask on his pack.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Neither did I.
Really?
I didn't really pay attention.
Yep.
Huh. I did not notice.
And apparently Miyamoto can go from hot to cold really quick. Sort of like the Happy Mask Salesman.
Oh, where he can be all nice and then just snap off?
And start shaking Link. Yeah.
Dig it. All right.
Well, I always thought it was funny how
he's honest then.
Yeah, right. I always thought it was funny how he like turns around. He's got this gigantic organ that he starts playing for the Song of Healing.
Because he carries that around in his
and it's just 3 notes, like
giant creepy knapsack. Could have had a Casio and done the same thing.
Very creepy. Agreed.
The Garuda, what was it, ship or
the fortress?
Fortress? How creepy was it that motherfucker wanted a picture?
A picture. Oh yeah. The fisherman. You need to give him a picture. A pictograph.
A picture of the pirates.
Yeah, one of the pirates. He just wanted an up close face shot. He just wanted a face shot of him.
Actually, with mine, I used the stone mask and I took a picture of 2 in the same frame, so he got the.
He got the works, huh,
yeah,
Ralph?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
He got the double mint gum.
Did you get
version.
2 seahorses?
No. Seahorse love.
Yeah, I didn't rescue the
Seahorse eye.
Oh, the fucking seahorse, like, that whole side quest was annoying as hell.
That was an easy heart to get, though.
To defeat all the eels straight out of Mario 64 coming out.
Yeah,
at
it was
you.
so
Fuck
annoying.
that. The eel in Mario 64 was way harder to deal with.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
depth perception on that game was fucking awful.
You think it was much different?
This was so much easier.
Okay, I guess
Especially with
that's
that,
a gameplay thing.
Yeah, all right.
That's a gameplay thing, like the Z targeting, how you can put the camera behind you immediately from any angle.
It's rude. Don't call me a Z-tard.
You're Z-tard. All right, I think we should move on into gameplay. I think story is exhausted. Let's go to gameplay.
Gameplay.
All right, so this game plays near identical to Ocarina. I know we should have an Ocarina counter every time I say Ocarina. Bing.
Do you get special
bing,
powers in
bing.
Ocarina?
Special powers? Well, what I
Yeah,
mean, I
like
guess
all
I
the
mean
masks
at
give you special
the
powers.
basic level. You don't hit a button to jump. If there's a gap, then you just push down on the control stick. Link will make that gap. You have the same button layout. You have essentially the same control scheme, but there are new gameplay elements. If I misspoke.
And items. I mean, they did have to change it up for everything, which, it still gave you a familiar feel of how just the game actually plays, but you had to learn to implement the new things that they put into this game and kind of start to work around it, which I liked because then it broke it up. And I like being able to do, different stuff with different masks. Like just the bunny mask was probably one of my favorite things because I hate like walking around at a slow pace where I can't be riding a horse. So pop on the bunny ears, fucking start going.
Yeah, that was like an all the time equip for me. I always had that like hot swapped.
Oh yeah, and
I forgot I had it for a long period.
Oh, really?
That's sad.
Yeah.
I think the bunny hood or bunny mask or whatever is my second favorite mode of transportation or speed because I liked rolling as the Goron.
Yes,
I would
that
do
was
that all
fun.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, if I had the magic
think it's
for it.
faster. Yeah, well, yeah. There's that. But no, those added abilities, the masks obviously give you more things to do and more ways to do them and builds on what Ocarina started as a true sequel should. I think the implementation of the 3 transformation masks, the 3 main ones, was good.
Yeah.
I think this is an I think it's an impossible game to 100% without a guide. There are so many instances. There is so much part of the game where you would have to play guessing games with the lens of truth to figure out certain side quests. You know what I mean? Like you would have to take a couple steps, look 100 or 360 with the lens of truth. Walk a couple steps, look 360 with the lens of truth. Like there's a lot of stuff in here that I would have never figured out unless I was looking at a guide. And I think that it says something about the gameplay of the game, to be completely honest with you.
It's cryptic.
Kinda. I don't think it was very easy to navigate in this game. I even felt getting lost quite often in some of these temples. Like where to go next? What do I need to do? Like if I didn't follow a guide, this game took me a long time following a guide. If I didn't have a guide, I'd be playing this for like 3 months.
So it's non-linear to the point of detriment, essentially.
Oh, no, I think it's actually a really linear game.
I think that's debatable though, because there's a lot of things you can do out of order, and like you could start.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, you have to do the temples in the right sequence. That's true.
Yeah.
That's linear.
But there's a lot of side quests you can start here and there. Like,
Well, yeah,
you're
but
not-
that's
all over the
side
place.
quests in almost any game.
But I mean, with those mini plots that are in some of these areas, without a guide, they could be mistaken as a side quest. Some of these are so vague that they don't feel like they adhere to the overall plot. You know what I mean? Like some of these
Yeah.
could be mistaken. Like if without a guide, you wouldn't know what you have to do to lead to get to that next temple.
Yeah, and the Bomber's Notebook does not do enough justice when it comes to like writing notes for yourself and stuff
Any
like
type
that.
of detail to really kind of remind you.
Yeah,
that's
And plus,
true.
because there's so many of them, you get caught up and you can kind of get overwhelmed, which I'll be honest, I used the guide through it and I'm glad I did. It did help. I mean, even with that, I would just skip over some things because I just wanted to get the game done. But I'll agree with Harry where if you don't have something for a type of resource, trying to really find every single thing in this game would take a long time. But I mean, that just goes to show you something for the game too, where there's that many and it really tugs at, like Harry is, he's someone who likes he's a completist. He likes the 100% stuff.
I think that's what holds me back on completing some of these games. Not that I haven't completed any games, but
You're a perfectionist. You want to have it.
it takes
completely
me.
done.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to overlook. Like, oh, I should be doing this because it's gonna get me to that ultimate completion. It's hard to just bypass and go straight like tunnel vision. I don't know. I don't know. It's a difficult
Though you did
thing.
say you did that with Final Fantasy 15, right? You got sucked into the story and you just moved on through that.
True, but that's a conversation for another day.
Of course. Okay.
I find it's a little different.
Okay.
Well, I'll actually say this: the story structure of this, there's nothing to keep you going story-based going through this game.
No motivation.
It's just survive over and over and over and over again until you get to the end.
That's a good point.
When it comes to the main story, anyway, because you don't get your bits and pieces throughout.
That's true. That is true. You kind of lose focus partway through the game.
Yeah,
you almost forget like what is kind of going on.
Yeah, then you'll get it like a tidbit once you beat a temple, which it's hours of gameplay in between. So, favorite mask? It could be design, it could be play. What was your favorite mask?
Design, I liked the captain's mask. The skull,
Yeah.
the guy you defeat. I just liked the look of that one for whatever reason.
That's not an easy question to answer. Like I said, I preferred the Goron roll to the bunny hood. It's so useful. I'm constantly using it anytime you're Link. I mean, I also got a lot of use out of the explosion mask. I know we had talked about that. I mean, I didn't use bombs for most of this game because I would just use that mask every time and just hold your shield and boom, you have an instant bomb. I guess the bunny hood. I mean, I like the Goron, but I don't like him for combat. The Deku, I actually really don't like, and the Zora, I don't really like the Zora mask all that much with the boomerangs or anything. Yours?
The Fierce Deity mask.
Oh, of course.
Well, how about one that you actually really used in the regular gameplay?
Let me just talk about the Fierce Deity. It's awesome. It turns you into adult Link. Your hair gets kind of this blue tint. You shoot lasers out of the end of your sword. I'm not even joking. I cleared all 4 stages of the end boss fight in under 2 minutes, and it took no skill.
Broken.
It's totally broken, but it's a great reward for getting all the masks. I personally think it's a great thing, and you have to cash them all in. Like, you have to give all of the bosses masks to enter into the different dungeons, and then they ask you for more when you get out. As you give them all, you have to give up everything but the original 4, I guess.
3.
Oh yeah, Zora, Goron, and Deku. You don't have to give those up, but then they give you the Fierce Deity mask.
No, it's definitely satisfying to get that mask and to use it on the final boss. I didn't do it for this gameplay, this run, but I've done it and I've enjoyed it.
The Fierce Deity mask also is one of the only masks that you put on that when, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but when you put on a mask, like the Deku mask, Link screams.
Yeah.
And he takes it off and he screams.
Yeah.
The Fierce Deity mask, he puts it on and he's like, ah! Like, he's like ready to go, like charging up, not scared or angry.
That might
kinda
be
like
unique
when you
to
put
your
the-
version. I don't know.
Because he kind of lets out a battle cry when he puts on the giant mask when you go to battle the giant centipedes at the end of the stone temple.
And it's deep, right? It's like...
Yeah. There's like it's more of kind of like a battle cry.
They might have actually been the same.
Yeah, but because he did whimper and whine a lot in this game.
Yeah.
That I noticed that a lot. It's like, oh, I'm forwarding ahead in time, like where you go. It's like, shut up, just take it. You're going through time.
Just take it.
Quit being a
Going
bitch.
through time.
Other than that, actually, I'd have to agree on the bunny hood, though. I use that so fucking much.
See, I wish, because I was close to actually being able to get the D. I had 18 masks, so I was.
How many did you need in the 64 version?
I think it was 24 was the max.
It should be the same.
20,
Okay, yeah. It
Shouldn't be
23.
different, as far as I
Right?
know.
Right?
It would be. I think it was 20. It
You
might have been
need 23. The 24th is the Fierce
Well,
Deity.
yeah, but I'm
yeah.
just saying that was the grid. It was,
Yeah.
4x6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I would have needed 23 masks, so I was 5 masks away, and 1 or 2 of them was I was already doing other stuff like for the side quests, but it was one of them was you get a bottle, and then at the very end you'll get like another mask or something else.
Yeah.
Or like the postman where there's 1 or 2 where you have to kind of. I think that was the one where to either choose the postman if you gave the letter to him or you took it into the milk bar and handed it to the lady.
You get the heart piece.
You get the heart piece.
Yeah.
And I got the heart piece instead because that's what the strategy guide had for me. Which I ended up with 11 heart pieces, which I didn't even fucking need.
Damn.
But it was just another thing to tack on.
I've always wanted to do a 3-heart run of these games.
No, fuck
Like,
that.
don't get any heart pieces. Don't collect any full heart containers. Like, 'cause that's a challenge, right? No, think about it, because that's hard mode.
Oh, that is hard mode. That's real hard mode.
I think that challenge has arisen on most Zelda games, to be honest with you. But
Harry, what was your favorite mask?
probably the stone mask, the one that made you invisible. Mm-hmm. It really helped in that Garuda Fortress. I was just kind of running laps around these bitches. Mm-hmm. But I accidentally had it on, right, when I went back into Clocktown, and I had to buy some items to complete this mission. I forget. I think I had to get a potion. You know what it was? I think it was down in that where you talk to the undead things and you have to give them presents to get through the door. The re-deads to get through the doors.
In the well.
And I think I needed the Deku nuts at that point. So I went to the shop, and I had that invisible mask on, and I talked to the vendor, and he's like, "Oh, I could have sworn I heard somebody come in. Never mind."
Nice.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't even fucking realize. Wait, I was like, wait, try that again? Because I was like, wait, why can't I buy shit?
Nice.
So, I don't know. That was a nice little...
Attention to detail.
Exactly. So,
There's totally like little hints of racism in the game. Little no.
You mean
like
Goron, Deku, and Zora racism?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
let's play what race we each think those races are.
No. I'm not playing that game. No, I'm just saying like
What do you equate the Deku? I don't. What?
like there's
short...
Woodland
yeah,
people.
No. Harry's racist.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, there's like little hints of racism, like certain Gorons will only talk to you if you're wearing the Goron mask, or certain Zoras will only talk to you if you're wearing the Zora mask, Dekus and Dekus, blah, blah, blah.
And the dog only attacks you if you're wearing the Deku mask.
That's true.
Yeah, there's that.
I remember that damn dog pissing me off. He's like, why the fuck does he
I
keep
thought
going
that was
back?
because of the stature, though. Because like when you're the Goron, he like runs away scared. You know, the Deku, you're really small.
I wasn't around with the Goron, around the dog.
Oh, okay.
I would have tried to probably smash him if I could.
But yeah, like some of the if you would go up to some of the human vendors wearing the Goron mask, they'd be like, "Oh no, I'm not trying to help you right now. We only or we only help humans.
Wow, yeah.
We only sell to humans." Like straight up.
It can't be denied. It's there.
Go ahead,
your
Harry.
feelings, Harry. You
No, go
know
ahead.
it to be true.
Go ahead, Harry.
No.
Racism warning. Go ahead, Harry.
It's all good.
Okay.
So the second row of masks is the Keaton mask, the
Michael Keaton mask.
the eagle like looking mask, the bunny hood, the Don Guerrero's mask, and then the pig mask. And that is supposed to be an homage to Star Fox, where Fox is the Keaton mask, Falco is the eagle like I can't remember the name of that one. The bunny hood is of course Peppy hair.
Peppy Toad.
And then Slippy is Don Guerrero, and then I think with the pig-like one, didn't he switch sides? He was part of Fox.
I think he was a part of the original
Star
Star Fox
the original
team.
Star
Slippy,
Fox team.
I don't think was a part of the original.
Slippy's a bitch.
Yeah, about that. But no, it's supposed to be a nod to Star Fox.
I never used the pig mask. I had it. I just didn't know what
Put it
came
on
in
once. I
handy
sniffed
for.
some underwear and took it off.
What?
Get out of Japan.
I was looking for.
Get out of Japan.
So okay.
There was a vending machine in Clocktown.
I needed to get a blue potion.
Mushrooms.
So you sniff panties to get
mushroom.
blue-
Yeah, apparently you can get the mushrooms from the boxers that were in Clocktown Hotel, but you have to sniff them out with the pig mask.
Wait. I went to like the forest and sniffed out the mushrooms. You went to you found them in underwear?
I didn't actually find them. Like he sniffed the underwear and said, "Oh, it was like a clickable item," but I couldn't.
I thought
actually...
you were kidding.
No, that I'm told. I think I had to start the quest somewhere, but I never started the quest. I just thought I can get the mushrooms from anywhere. But literally, you could sniff out the underwear. You know the room in the hotel where the two pairs of twins are sharing with the bunk bed room?
Yeah.
There's a pair of boxers on the furthest bed all the way to the left. You could sniff it out with the pig mask.
Gross.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Did anyone else realize that you have to hand the deed, the land deed, to the hand that is coming out of the toilet in the hotel?
Paper, please.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
No.
It can be a letter. It can be a deed. It can be anything paper you can give that guy.
Yeah. There's a
hand at night
that comes up out of the toilet. It's like long and lanky as fuck. It's like paper, please, but it's in the toilet.
Basically no TP, so you give him something and you get a heart piece for it, right?
Yeah.
Didn't do that
Wow,
side quest.
No. Oh,
It's
man.
Totally missed that one.
It was fucking weird.
It's great.
It weirded me out
This game was a little weird.
in a way that I did not appreciate.
This game is great.
That's a life lesson. Help people wipe their ass and you'll get more life.
I want to scratch that onto a bathroom stall somewhere.
Yep. I'm going to immortalize that.
Fuck
Okay.
it. I'll just get a tattoo of it.
So I did want to say something about the 4 main areas, and I had it under the story slot, but it is kind of gameplay as well. You guys can jump in anytime here. Personally, the first quarter of the game I don't like. I don't like that you're stuck as Deku Link. You have to track down those annoying bombers kids. I think the first time I ever played the game, I didn't actually get them all. For whatever reason, I couldn't catch them all in the 3-day cycle and died. Doing it this time, I would just got close, spun as Deku Link, and got him no problem. I got him in like 2 minutes. But then you move on to the Woodfall area, the Poison Swamp, and the Palace, and having to sneak around and get inside and all that. I literally can't stand the first 25% of this game, which is interesting when you think about my score, because it doesn't reflect that. But I really don't feel that the game starts to get good until you move into the mountain area. Is it Snowfall?
Yes.
Snowfall, thank you. Snowfall with the Gorons and everything being frozen. I like that. I like the temple. That's another thing. Like the swamp, like temple, like I just don't like. I don't like swamps in general in games. And the fact that this game starts with this swampy thing, I just don't like any of it.
Appropriate.
The mountain, the Goron, the temple, the boss fight, the races, the Gilded Sword. I love all that. Then you move.
You like the race?
Well, yeah, I kind of like. I like the concept. The race it being fun. It's not really that fun.
It's fixed.
It's fixed.
Did you have some trouble with the race, Harry?
Yes.
How much trouble? How many times did you do the race?
I forget. I told you guys that was a while ago, but I did it a lot of times.
Yeah.
Played with the Wii U and used save states, so I only did it one time over and over again. It helped out.
Twice. I'm sorry,
You
Harry.
know what really fucking sucked? Because after I bitched you guys about it, and then I finally beat it, you get the gold dust or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on day 3 or something like that, so I couldn't finish the whole sword quest in time. I had to go back on day 1 and do that race all over again.
I had to do the same thing,
that
Harry.
sucks.
Don't
Sorry,
feel bad.
Harry.
I was so fucking pissed. So while we're in gameplay, I fucking hate that you can't, like, I get it as far as like the timeline goes that you can't carry weapons on. But I mean, again, they're not even very consistent with that because some items you get to keep
True.
and some you have to.
Bottles, bitch, bottles.
Yeah, you can hold on to glass, masks, your weapons, but no ammunition, no money. That's why you use the bank. For some reason, they can hold on to the money.
That is weird and game breaking that he knows who you are and you're balanced no matter what.
Well, it's because of the magic sigil that he puts on you.
Well, the magic
Yeah.
stamp. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
stamp shit.
I always get magic stamps at clubs too.
You get
No,
mushroom
those
stamps.
are mushroom stamps.
I was gonna say, he gets stamped in the bathroom too.
Oh.
I'm just saying they weren't consistent with it. It made it very aggravating. So I have to
Okay.
spend
Yeah.
a little bit of time at the beginning of every cycle just collecting items, just running around the fortress over and over again.
Well, I felt that the main area once you get the Goron mask, you can just roll around. You can gain magic and items real quick. A couple laps, you're good to go for the whole 3-day cycle.
Or
but,
you
but
just,
still, it's a time sink.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
the
understand
game's
where you're
about
coming
time. Like it's
It's about time.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that.
no, I'm just saying.
You missed that giant
like,
clock?
That's they do it to put pressure on you.
That's true. There's pressure for this game. You mentioned anxiety earlier.
Yeah,
it's there.
that's also why I just got a bunch of rupees in the very beginning, and if I ever wanted
Roofies?
I just
Yeah, you got roofies.
I went
You put everyone in the town to sleep.
got some DQ nuts, and got
I got 3 days to make magic.
With the jello pudding and the hippin' and the boppin'.
Kodak film.
Can't make Cosby jokes anymore. It's just not funny.
No,
Oh,
still can.
they're really funny now.
Still will. So yeah, I just ended up buying stuff instead of going out and foraging for it.
That's a waste of rupees.
Like a waste of rupees? Ask me how many rupees I ended with, Ralph.
I don't know. 10,000.
How many rupees did you?
5,499.
Nice.
So you went 500 over for fun?
Damn.
No, I went 499 over because that's all you can go. Because he caps you at 5,000, but you could do 4,999 and then deposit 500 on top of that. That was the only way I could get around it.
Okay.
I don't know why I wanted to. I wanted to get to
Damn,
5,000 for the heart
That's
piece.
a heart piece,
The heart
Harry.
piece.
That's a hard piece?
Yeah.
I only ever got to 1,100, and the interest system fucking blows. You get to 1,000, and they're like, here, you earn 5
Oh, yeah, that's
rupees.
right, that's
oh, yeah,
right.
I just got to go play in the weeds for like 3 minutes, and I'll be okay with that 5 rupees.
Hey, that's like a 5% return. No, like a 0.5.
I don't think it's 5%.
Yeah, I don't think math.
Anyway, to go back to what I was trying to say is that I don't like the 4 main locations. I really only like the mountain, and I like Icona Valley. And Icona Valley, I know, is kind of a mixed bag, but I really like the lead-up temple where you go into like the palace. And it seems tedious and dumb, but there's something about it, like that the room with the way the light comes in and the battle. Like I like that whole thing. And then of course the actual inverted like temple was really kind of interesting. It seemed like a natural evolution. Like the first 3 are pretty straight. The first 3 temples are pretty straightforward, and then the last one is like, holy crap! You got to use everything that you've got up until this point. It seemed like I liked that difficulty spike.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little tedious, obviously, but I don't know how they would have worked in a 4th transformation mask. I guess they could have, but I like that whole area. The Zora stuff, with the ocean and collecting all the eggs. God,
Those
that's
eggs were a
tedious.
pain in the ass.
Such padding. It just I don't know. I really didn't care for that.
I did appreciate the lead up, like pretty much like once you get into the stone temple and have to like flip everything back and forth.
Yeah.
Really had to give a tip of the hat to them because they basically made 2 temples in one by flipping it.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And that is something that I was really kind of impressed with because it was like I realized it while I was playing. I kept flipping back and forth. I'm like, oh shit! They took the time to kind of make it be able to into something like that, which really shows and stays true to where with Zelda they get really creative and kind of come up with some new stuff. Which is why when you were saying earlier that they did this game in a year and still managed to find time to do some stuff like that, good on them.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a common theme among all the dungeons in this game, or at least the temples. They were multi-purposed. Like there was here you go through the first half of the temple, it's one way, and then you activate something and it's a different way. Like
the water temple, you change the current.
you change the current, so it basically changes the entire dungeon in a sense.
You change the elevation of the mountain temple.
Yep, and in
the center pillar.
The swampy one, you basically unpollute the water. So you gain access to that, more or less. Like there were certain things you could do once you unpolluted that, like especially with the fairies and such, because there was a couple that were underwater.
Yeah,
I don't know. You basically there was like a different access point with all the temples where you just, in a sense, like with the stone temple, you flip it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying back to Icona, the castle.
Yeah,
that was up there. This is an issue I had again when you lose the items when you reset the days.
Okay.
I got to the top of the castle where you have to hit that thing that brings down the floor, and you have to hit the button to get through that door, and you go upstairs or whatnot. There was a point upstairs where you needed one of the kegs to blow open.
Oh, a powder keg.
Yes. I didn't have one on me. It was such a travel to get up there, I had to start all over again. That shit drove me fucking nuts.
There wasn't an owl statue near?
Not there, unless I missed it.
Well, there's
the
one.
last one
there's
I
one
saw
in that area with the house and the music box. After you,
yeah, but that was such a hike back for me. Like I'm trying to play it again in my head, like where I had to go. But I remember I sunk like probably like an hour to hour and a half.
You sure there isn't a shortcut to get to the top? Then no.
Get to the one that you have to hook shot all the way back and forth through? You mean up to the tower?
I know, it just felt like a whole separate section because you climb out of a thing after you... I don't know. I don't remember the whole section. But
yeah,
I remember being so fucking pissed off. I rage quit that night. I was just...
So the guide you were using didn't say, hey, get a powder keg before you go in?
I mean, I was trying to read ahead. I was skimming, like... I shouldn't have to, like... You know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't have to guess at what items I'm gonna need for the future and then have to reset...
Yeah, okay, I'll admit that seems really out of context, out of left field.
Like, I don't know. It was shit like that really just, like, irked me the wrong way with this game. Like, I just wanted to, like, have a casual playthrough, have some fun with the game, and there was just shit like this where I just hit a fucking wall. I'd just lose hour and a half of gameplay. It was just totally pointless.
Don't feel too bad, Harry. There was one night when I was getting close and probably sunk about 2.5 hours into the game. I'll be one to admit I've been spoiled by autosave because I went to go grab something to eat out of the kitchen and go hang out in the living room and not even thinking about it, got out of bed, bloop, turned off the system, and then started walking out the door.
No.
And then as soon as I stopped, I'm like, I just fucking did that. And for like 20 minutes, it's like, I can't believe I just did that. That's something that really I am never taking saving like for granted ever again.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to waste a drip of wine.
Harry just licked the tip of his wine bottle.
Sensually.
Mentioning the save states, or autosave, sorry. I did play this on the Wii U. I bought it for the Virtual Console, and I knew that I would have to deal with this, and I actually tried to remap the buttons, because you can do that to a certain extent with the Wii U, but it ultimately came down to the C buttons that you map and put whatever items you need. I had to use an analog stick for that, and found that it was the single most frustrating thing about the game. Now, because it came out for the N64, and I've already played it and beat it for the N64, I can't hold that as a detriment to the game, but for this version of it, I would constantly, because you don't have to be that accurate, to use an analog stick. I'd have to methodically stop, look, and decide very deliberately which button I was going to use and do, because there were times where I would hit two at the same time, where the bunny hood would go on and I'd have a hook shot out, or I'd have the bow, and the mask would go off, or I'm already in first person view with the bow and I push to shoot and I hear because I'm putting my mask on and off and on and off and on and off. Like it really doesn't work in my opinion. But again, that's not the way the game was designed and presented. It's just that port of it is like that, and it's the same way for the GameCube emulation promotional disc that I have, where you have to use the C stick as the C buttons, and I just don't think it works.
I didn't have any trouble with the controls.
Yeah, good.
Good for you. I played it on the 3DS. Between the touch controls and the fact that that's like a real gamepad, no trouble whatsoever.
What seems weird to me, and I probably have trouble with, is don't you use Z and R and L for the ocarina? Because, like, to me, having the 3 C buttons and the A button, that just works so well for me. Like, I'd have to relearn how to do, X, Y, L or something like that for different songs.
Yeah, so instead of the bottom 3 for the ocarina,
yeah,
or left, right, and down on the C pad,
yeah,
it was X, B, and Y.
X, B, Y. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I think it used all of them.
Oh, really?
Or, sorry, it didn't use B. Sorry, it didn't use B because that's how you backed out. It was Y, X, and A. And then it would also use the left bumper or right bumper.
Yeah, that just, I don't know. It would take a while for me to get used to that, I think.
Or you could just tap on the screen, too, to play it. So you could.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could play it with your fingers. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
While we're talking about the ocarina, now this is something that's like a little sidetracked, but there's like forums online for it. Is people will map out the buttons you have to hit to play popular songs. I don't have any, for example, but I mean like not Zelda songs or anything like that.
Thunderstruck.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
They'll have all those keys mapped out so you can actually play some of these songs. A little cool gimmick that you can get into.
Yeah, that is
well, because you can distort all the noises if you hold on the on the stick.
Yeah,
directional. You can put like a vibrato on it.
Another element of the gameplay that we've touched on, but I really wanted to drive home, is that there are only 4 temples in Majora's Mask.
Yes,
and that means
that's a big criticism from a lot of people, because I mean, Ocarina had the 3 as a child, and then the 5 as an adult. 8 temples.
Yep.
Total.
That's double the temples.
And that's double the temples.
That's not counting.
Double the temple.
Double.
That's not counting Ganon's castle
either,
I don't think, or any of the other stuff that you have to. Because the one, what was it? Not Shadow. Spirit. You had to do it twice.
Yep.
Because you do it as a kid and then you do it again as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say was that means you only get 4 full heart containers for completing a dungeon, meaning there are a lot more pieces of heart to collect.
Yes.
For this game, and there are tons of mini games all over the place. So I don't want to. I'm done with the padding bit. The padding to the gameplay or to the story more is there, but this is like mini game and heart piece overload. I think Twilight Princess has it beat because in that game it's 5 pieces to create a full container.
God.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that can go to hell. That just sounds annoying.
Suck a dick.
You guys should give that game a shot. I have the HD
Suck a
version.
dick.
All right, so the bosses. Let's talk about favorites, least favorites, pros, cons. Go.
My least favorite is the cake boss.
The cake?
Fucking hate the cake boss.
The cake boss?
And the cake boss. I make cakes.
The cake boss.
Not to be confused with the Ace of Cakes. Guy's a national treasure. Bringing it back around, Nick Cage.
Actually, I don't really like the bosses of this game. If you really think about it. I mean, the Goron one was kind of cool, but it's kind of like a mini game. And then you have the first one who was like a samurai that made weird sound effects. He was like, jump away. Yeah, away.
He was a tribal warrior.
Yeah.
Like, I know each one was supposed to be geared towards a certain mask. Like, you use the Goron mask for the second temple, use the Zora mask for the third temple. The Deku one I found was a very useless mask a lot of times, except for when you needed to hop from flower to flower.
Exactly, yeah.
I stayed as regular Link that entire fight. And I didn't really I don't think it's memorable at all, to be honest with you. And the Zora fight with the fish,
Goat, or however you say it. Can't stand
while we're
that
still in
boss fight.
gameplay,
Totally.
the mechanisms of that battle were so fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you had to shoot him as he was charging the platform so that you can drop right into the water, use that charge up ability, and then use the controls to try to swim out of the water before he regained consciousness to attack you.
To do it again.
And
Yeah.
I found that the mechanics of that were so fucking frustrating.
Oh, it was a pain
You're
in
right.
the ass.
You're right. You're
And
absolutely
I
right.
went into that fight, I think, with 6 hearts. When he bites you and does that chomp move where he throws you around and everything like that, it was basically a third of my life every single time.
Yep. Yeah, he would do like 3 hearts or whatever.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how frustrating that fight was.
You can, because we've been there.
Yeah.
We know.
So the boss fights on the DS were actually a lot different than the boss fights in the 64 version. Everything would have like a weaken, like you would weaken it, and then it would come out with like a giant eye, which was a giant weak spot, and you'd do a bunch of damage and then continue. So like for the bull, you would have to hit it a bunch of times with the Gorgon. It would fall over. A giant eye would come out, and you just slam on it, slam on it, slam on it. It would get back up, run around, and you.
Oh, that's weird.
You slam the bull a lot?
You have to slam on the eye of the bull.
Prep that bull.
I mean, it sounds like some kind of euphemism, but okay.
Bullseye? Bullseye.
Oh, God.
And then the fish fight, you could stand on the platform, hit him with arrows, and then an eye would pop up out of the water. You could hit it with arrows. And then to finish that fight, you had to jump into the water as Zora Link and cut the mines off. You'd have to, like, trick him into sucking all the water in. And then you'd cut mines off and then try to do the power move away from him. So you'd suck up a mine and it would explode. A
That's
la
a
Jaws.
completely different kind of fight.
Yeah.
That sounds completely different.
Yeah.
My favorite fight, though, was the twin
Mold.
yeah. Where I don't know, like, and again, I don't know how it is in the 64 version. Pretty much the strategy for it in the 3DS version was avoid the red, shoot down the green, and then it would kind of spin around in a circle and then slowly stop, and then you have to wail on the eye. It would eventually die and like explode into a bunch of different pieces.
Right.
And then you have to turn into Giant Link and fight the red one, which also involved grabbing it, spinning it around, and throwing it against the walls of the canyon that you're in.
Oh, wow. No,
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, because basically for mine, I'd throw on the giant mask, you're giant, and then you just attack the head or the tail, and then you hit that enough times and it dies.
Oh yeah, I got to like pick it up and like spin it around and stuff. That was actually my favorite fight, so maybe that's why it was different.
Yeah, it's clear to me that they went back and improved the boss battles, because the normal version that the three of us played, I would say that Twin Mold Goat is frustrating. Twin Mold is just like a throwaway. Like, you put on the Giant's mask and you just attack the hell out of it.
Yeah, it wasn't difficult.
Yeah.
It was, and you had to worry about, the guide I was going through was like, oh, make sure you're stocked up on magic. It didn't take that long. That was like quick and over, and I wish I played the 3DS version. I mean, for just for that one, I mean, I liked being able to play the original. Don't get me wrong on that.
Yeah.
But at least for it sounds like on that battle, that sounds pretty good.
I got to admit, when you stop and look at all the bosses for the vanilla version of Majora's Mask, or the normal version, something is lacking there. They're anticlimactic. They're not a lot of fun. They're not that memorable. I think I'm going to have to change my score.
Yeah,
Oh,
the boss fights for the 3DS version, they were probably my favorite moments of the game. Playing it. I hated most of the temples.
I'm going to have to get it. I don't know why I don't have it. When they
yeah, you don't have every other fucking copy of it.
Yeah,
as
sorry.
well.
When they came out with the 3DS remake of Ocarina, I was like, oh wow, I need to get that. Didn't.
Do you
and
have
I was like,
a 3DS?
Well, I don't. Well, if they ever make Majora, I'll do it. And they made Majora and I didn't do it. I just need to get it.
It's worth it, for sure.
Sounds it. And then, of course, Majora himself is not much to write home about. I mean, the thing gets weird. It gets damn weird. But
It starts doing that where it's like the third stage where it's dancing.
Yeah. Majora's Wrath or whatever. Isn't that Majora's Wrath?
Yeah.
No, Wrath is the very last one.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget which one that is. But yeah, either way, I just found that odd, where it's like, all right, it goes from the floating mask, I can see that, and you battle it in kind of like 2 rounds, and then it sprouts legs and arms. I'm like, okay, that's...
And a head.
And a head, yeah.
Comes up.
It's like, all right, this is getting creepy now, cool, and then it's fucking dancing around, and I don't know what I thought of it. I mean, I know what I thought of it. I thought it was kind of stupid. And then at the very end, it goes from this dancy little stupid asshole twirling around into, oh, now I have giant whips for arms and complete fucking badass at the very end. That I did like. I liked its very final form. I think that was the only time I really enjoyed it, because it was an actual challenge that wasn't just completely frustrating.
That's when it has like all the tentacles and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it gets all hentai.
The way that it was like moving around and stuff, it reminded me of the Sentinels from the Matrix.
I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just like the one still body and then like all of like the tentacles and stuff.
What is the Matrix?
What is the Matrix?
But no, the boss battles, pretty anticlimactic. Don't come to Majora's Mask for boss battles. Come for sadness, depression, masks, and minigames.
That's a good synopsis.
Yeah, come for depression.
Yay!
Bring your Xanax, boys and girls.
All right, let's move on to graphics.
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 Graphics?
Graphics.
So they recycled a lot from Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's how they got it done.
Surprise.
They got it done in a year.
When it comes to the character design, let me be completely honest with you.
No, I want you to lie to us.
Please lie to me.
The ranch, I thought that was the same girl from
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
But I mean, it's a different town. Like, it is a different girl altogether, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the character model is the same.
I know, and I think.
But that's all over the place. Like I said, it's like an alternate reality. They worked that into the story, but you're right. They took all the bits and pieces from Ocarina and made this story.
Yeah. Which I guess definitely saved them time.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not gonna.
No,
I'll continue on my final thoughts. But
I mean, Link is different. I guess you guys noticed that Link looks different physically from one to the
he's
other.
a child in this one.
well, no, he's a
little
child
bit-
in Ocarina too.
Right. Child Link in Ocarina looks different from Child Link in Majora's. A little bit.
I wish.
Man Link.
Can I be honest? I wish they would permanently get away from the child Link. I don't know if they have in future.
Okay.
I like adult Link better. It feels more mature. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. And I felt the same way with Majora. I felt like I wish there was some way that I could become adult Link. And apparently, I think that was something that they had talked about was the fourth mask was going to be adult Link,
Yeah.
but it ended up being scrapped.
Okay. I'm
Fierce
sorry.
deity.
I meant to,
He's basically the fierce deity. You're right. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
no, I meant to mention this back in gameplay. Ocarina of Time.
Too late.
The Hyrulean,
We're not going back. We're only going forward.
the Hyrulean shield.
It's different. It's the hero shield.
Well, yes, but I mean it's still a metal shield.
Yeah.
He wore it on his. He had to crouch with it because he didn't have the strength to hold it up.
Yeah, he's a little bit older
In
now.
this-
That's the way I interpret it.
Is that the way you interpret it?
Yeah,
'Cause
he's a little bit
I don't
older.
think that much time has passed
That's
since
true.
the events of that one. But
That's
now
true.
he can fully hold
Yep.
it up, and he can use items that he wasn't able to use.
Hook, shot, and bow. You're right.
Exactly.
You're right. They took adult elements and gave it to the kid
Yeah.
version, basically.
Exactly.
Well, you would almost have to, because if you kept it with the same Kid Link that it was, it would
You'd be running around with a boomerang all game.
it'd be terrible.
Yeah, because it's like Kid Link, and this is like prepubescent Link.
Right. And
So graphics, those fairies were frightening.
Yeah, hold on, Steve.
oh wait, Steve, come on.
This is your.
What do you got,
This is your
Steve?
moment.
Give it to us.
Criticize the
Wait a
women
minute.
in this
Where's my
game.
player's guide? Where is it? What'd you do to those fairies?
I'm just saying, it's the fairies have some very odd features.
You mean they're blurry dots?
Ooh, poison ivy fetish.
Blurry
He's
dots.
not even like, hey, they're like even remotely attractive. Ralph's just like, oh, fairy fetish.
Well, I like how Harry's over here thinking I'm just talking about the really tiny small ones that are just a blinky fucking light.
Oh, right. They're like 2D sprites.
Sorry,
Mean-
which fairies
Meanwhile,
are you
Ralph's
talking
over here
about?
pitching
The
a tent.
great fairies, the
the ones you put together and they become a crazy woman.
A grand fairy.
deity.
like, oh god, don't do it, not again.
You know what we're talking about. You look
Yeah.
perplexed.
Yeah, no, because I was no, sorry, I was going off on a tangent in my own mind. Bobby
Again.
cat shit. Sorry, Bobby cat shit. No, okay, continue. No, but I know what fairies you're talking about. The fountains,
Yeah.
and then when you make them whole again.
Yeah, the great.
No, you're
fairies.
talking about the little fairies that are like a fraction of the fairy.
No. I'm talking about the big one, which those little ones were weird looking.
They
Big
were.
ones are scary.
Yeah.
The stray fairies.
The big ones are scary.
Yeah, I cried a little.
Yeah, they're really into the leopard skin fashion, aren't they?
Yes, a little bit. They found their niche.
They wear vines.
It's like the 80s all over again.
So playing on the 3DS, I had a huge graphical update. The game looks incredible comparatively to the 64 version. The graphics are actually pretty crazy to be on a handheld. I was actually really shocked with how it wasn't dropping frames or anything like that. I was really impressed.
Constant 60 frames.
I don't know if any handheld's capable of doing 60 frames. I'm not 100%.
Okay.
I don't want to quote that.
No, yeah.
It wasn't dropping frames though. There wasn't any slowdown.
Did you play with the 3D at all?
No, the 3D gives me a headache, so
Okay.
I just roll with regular. There's the bosses actually physically look different. It looks like they're completely redesigned. The fish actually looks like an actual sea creature as opposed to some weird kind of metallic looking thing.
So you did take the time to look at the differences?
Oh yeah, I really wanted to know the comparison between what you guys were playing and seeing and what I was seeing, just for total transparency here, because there are certain parts of it that make it feel like it's a different game. Mostly the boss fights and the controls. I'm gonna go more into my final thoughts about that. Yeah, the graphics on the 3DS version I was impressed.
Cool. All right, let's move on to Mr. Koji Kondo and music.
Music.
Biggest point I want to send home on this one. It was awesome revisiting the music from Ocarina of Time. A lot of those songs really stuck with me as a child, and just to hear, especially because it was so late in the game when you finally learned the Song of Storms.
Oh, yeah.
That was my fucking jam from the first game, and it just to hear it again, I was like, yes, they fucking snuck it in.
So would you go to the windmill then and just listen to dun dun dun?
There was a lot of times I did. I think I did. I spent a lot of time in that area.
No wonder it took you 40 fucking hours to beat the game.
No, not in this game. On the other one. Is he doing Game of Thrones or Song of Storms?
Yeah, it sounded like Game of Thrones there at the end.
Wait, that's the same.
I like the song. I think it's called "Oath to Order."
The one that you do to summon the
I think
the
so.
spirits.
The
Yeah,
Yeah, I
spirits.
wrote this note down early in the game. It's just a very dark song. I don't know. It sounded really awesome when they were playing it. Like there was a lot of tracks in this game that I thought were really solid. I think there was some that were not so solid as well.
more of a liquid or gas.
I really got
A leggy of emptiness got old.
I got sick of the music in the Deku area.
Yeah.
I forget what music that was, but I remember I was just like,
Yeah, the
fuck.
Deku area in general.
Yeah.
No, the one that really fucking bothered me was in West Clocktown, and then whatever the last song that you learned, so you can leave totems of yourself, and having to play that.
That's the
200
emptiness.
times the emptiness.
200 times, yeah, right?
Yeah, that was
You
just
really do have to play that a ton.
Yeah.
it just got annoying. There's no other song like that. At least forces you to have to listen to it.
When it comes to the music, I have to admit, the Song of Healing, and I think I said this earlier, the Song of Healing, for whatever reason, I fell in love with it. Like, I had the soundtrack on a CD, and I would listen to that for hours. The version that's in the game, I would listen to it. I really do enjoy all the music. I love the subtle touches where there's the Clocktown theme, day 1, and then day 2, I think it's mostly the same. Day 2, it rains. And then day 3, it's like the normal theme, but it's a little crazy because the way things are going.
Yeah, they have like this eerie overtone.
They speed it
to
up.
Yeah.
And then I think they add the ocarina to it. And then the last 6 hours, when it actually turns into like the numbers are falling like an odometer, and the music is just really sort of like melancholic and very, sad. There's a lot of love put into the music. There are a lot of things recycled from Ocarina, just like everything else in the game, basically. But I do really like the music in this game throughout. And there are a couple tracks here or there that I don't like, but fell in love with the music when I played it the first time.
I thought the music was very memorable. I definitely have like a little bit of the Ocarina songs stuck in my head, like just different ones randomly will pop in. It's definitely... See, it hasn't hit me yet because I haven't played it twice in a game. You know what I mean? Because I haven't played Ocarina to any sort of like memorable amount, but I really did enjoy the music, and like you can tell it's a good soundtrack for like the end of the world and trying to combat that. I thought it was very fitting to this story, but again, that could be a little bit of bias because it's the first time I'm hearing some of this stuff as opposed to hearing it the second time in a different game and a different experience.
Even remembering some of the old songs and just breaking it out and remembering how to play Bolero Fire, it made me miss some of the other music from the other game, because there were a few where I was in. I loved it, and then I didn't quite get the same feeling with a lot of the new stuff that they put in. Not terrible, but just nothing that really sticks with me like it did in Ocarina of Time.
I think it's important to note as well, you're not just limited to hearing this music on the Ocarina. You have the organ with the Deku mask, the drums with
You mean the trumpets? The Deku mask, sorry.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like
Trumpets.
horns.
Yeah, okay, what?
He had horns.
Trumpet, whatever. Drums, and then the guitar.
That's a very good point. Absolutely.
So you get to kind of hear it in different connotations instead of just with a woodwind instrument, more or less.
Yeah, which is a nice touch that they did that. It's not just a Goron with an ocarina.
I did not like the drums.
I don't know. I just got really bad flashbacks of trying to do that side quest of trying to get the baby to shut the fuck up.
Oh, God. Yeah. The lullaby.
Yeah. Anyway, so while we're in the music section, I did want to talk about some of the sound effects and the for lack of a better term, the voiceover in the game. Two things I want to point out. I absolutely love the sound effect for the guy who looks almost like a Roman era dressed guard when they're having that heated debate in the mayor's office. He's like, yeah, exactly. It's just like, I loved it every time. I thought it was so fucking hilarious.
And he's like, wah! the construction, the carpenter guy who's like, wah! And their mouths are like so like, ridiculous. And it's like, yeah,
I loved it. I thought it was so fucking funny. Every time I heard it, I loved it. I also really enjoyed the Gruda. That's the female fortress. When they scream, it was hilarious. It was just, I don't know where the hell they got that sound clip from, but it just sounded so fucking ridiculous every time you heard it.
Like when you knock them out with your sword, or your
no, there was something I think that jumped in the room that scared them all out of the room or something at one point.
Oh yeah, the bees. When you drop down, you drop the bees,
and they were just all screaming. I don't know. It just sounded absolutely ridiculous. And
I know what you mean.
Way out of place. But no, I just those were two things I had to write down a note for it because they really stuck out to me.
Sure, yeah.
But no, that fucking Roman guy, it's just every time. I really want to pull up a sound clip for it too. Just sneaking into the episode. Yeah, that's all I got for music.
Let's move on to our final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
I leave it to you guys. Who wants to go?
Go ahead, Ralph.
Okay.
He turned that shit around on you.
So, my final thoughts for this game would be that in many ways it has what Ocarina doesn't, and the same is true for Ocarina, if that makes sense. So
you're saying they complement each other in a way?
They do complement each other. I fully admit that I have a level 11 nostalgia for this game. And
out of 100, right?
11 out of 10. I feel like it's an achievement in game design and what they managed to do in a year. I do see that there are some negatives to it. I've played Ocarina more than Majora's, which doesn't seem to make sense because I talk about it with such praise. But Majora's Mask really stayed with me. It imprinted itself in my brain and just stayed there all these years. I can't believe it's been 17 years since this game came out, and it had an impact on me at the time. I really enjoy it and love it. It has those negative qualities, but I don't care. I think it's a fantastic entry in the Zelda series, and I fully wish that more often the Zelda franchise would go off the beaten path and do a side story like this, because the tried and true of Link going against Ganon, saving Zelda, and there could be a dark world or another world or an alternate world maybe. I think it's a little played out, and this kind of Zelda I wish we had more of. Steve, go.
So my final thoughts on the game. I'm glad I got to play something in the Zelda series because it's something that I really did miss. Because I played a shit ton for A Link to the Past, which then, of course, they put out for Game Boy, so I played that. And then nothing. And literally, you just saying this game coming out 17 years ago means I haven't played a Zelda game in 20 years. Somewhere around there. So I'm really glad that we got to visit this series. I wish I had a little more time because this would be the type of game where I would want to 100% complete it, even though it would take a lot more time. But I did enjoy it to the point where I'm sad that I didn't get to do everything, especially once you started talking about the Fierce Deity Mask. All I wanted out of it was just to be adult Link at some point. I just favor adult Link more than child Link or more prepubescent Link, wherever the fuck he's at now, because he can use a goddamn Good job, Link. You're good.
I really think that's a psychological thing, but never mind.
Your face, Clark.
Did you roll your eyes?
No, I was like...
You did one of those.
I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead, please.
That's all right. Either way, I just wish that I would have actually got to play as adult Link. But, it's okay. All in all, I still enjoy the playthrough, but, I'm missing out on a few things. What you think, Harry?
All right, I did have a lot of thoughts. Okay.
And now they're
good.
gone.
That's how most people get through the day. That's good.
All right. Trailing back to the beginning of this episode.
Are you going to play this song of time? Get back to the beginning of the episode.
You said that they pumped this out in a year and that they were going to get a time extension.
Oh, because the game's about time.
Song of double time.
But they were like, no. Let's stick to this 1 year time
The director
frame.
said, "I have pushed so hard. I don't even want more time. We'll finish this out, and I will do it in a year to prove that I can."
Should have taken a little more time.
That's what I'm getting at. Again, when we were talking about the bosses, they limited themselves to 4 temples.
Should have been 4 great bosses with each temple.
And not just that. I mean, there should have been more temples and cut out some of that flack that's in between. Why should I be playing a game for padding? Do you know what I mean? I'm playing a game for enjoyment and to be totally immersed in a particular world. I'm not doing this just to pass time, more or less. Like, I'm trying to get something more out of it than just a time sink. I find with certain aspects of this game, I found myself wasting my time. And I'm not trying to be too harsh, but in reality, it's like I only have so much time to play games. Is this worth spending as much time as I did? So,
Should have used this song of
I know.
slow time.
Jesus
I think
Jesus.
maybe you wasted more time on No Man's Sky than you did on Majora's Mask.
Maybe. That's another. I mean, I'm going to rank it higher than No Man's Sky. I'll give you that.
Ooh, spoiler alert!
little teaser.
Spoiler.
Yeah. But I don't know. I really wanted to like this game because I loved Ocarina of Time. There was just some really there was some really big things that just frustrated the fuck out of me with this game.
All right, so I'll delve into my final thoughts. This is one of the first Zelda games that I've beaten. It's really my first exposure to a 3D Zelda game. Other than, here and there I have played Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Ocarina. But, not sat down, hammered out the game. With that being said, on the 3DS, I think I had a better experience. Like, some of the things you guys are saying, I absolutely agree with. But, I feel like I had a better experience with some of the controls. It was a little easier to play, it seemed like. The bosses were different and way more engaging on the 3DS. And I actually think really highly of this game. I really, really had a good time with it. I try to keep my judgments and stuff, arbitrary. If you are going to play Majora's Mask, especially if it's going to be for the first time, I highly suggest get it on the 3DS. It's a great game. It's a great, great game.
All right, let's move on to our scores.
The score.
I had something written down at the start of this, and I thought I'd hold pretty true to that, but after we've discussed it and really thought critically, I'm going to say that my nostalgia score is probably 100%, and my real score should be 85%, because while the game is good, I think my nostalgia was blinding me on several things.
Below Donkey Kong Country for you.
Really?
Do you want to do that?
What did I put Donkey
No,
Kong
he said
at?
85. Write it down. It's official.
What did I put Donkey Kong at?
89. And you wrote it in.
I mean, that's just
ludicrous.
That's just not right. 90%. Steve.
So, judgment on Majora's Mask.
So,
Give it double M.
I would have to give this teetering between a B plus and an A minus. I think I'm going to have to go A minus on it.
He goes, D. Threw you off, motherfuckers.
It's up there because it was a fun game. I did enjoy playing it, though some of the stuff seemed just kind of thrown in there. Wasn't enough to really throw me off on how I felt overall about the game and what I got to play, and just having literal nostalgia just because it's been so long since playing anything. It caught me at a good time. A minus.
A minus. Let me jot that down in the book.
Jot it, you official jotter.
Harry, go.
All right. I did a lot of thinking about this. This is actually harder now that I really have to spit it out. I think I'm going to give it a 5.5, which is above Super Mario 64, but it's below Max Payne 3.
out of 10?
Out of 10.
Whoa.
I know.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. I just...
You don't need to be sorry. You just
Yeah, you
didn't
don't-
have
you
a
don't have
fun
to be
time
sorry,
with it.
Man, it's your score.
Yeah, I hit a wall with this game. I'm sorry. It just...
I told you stop being sorry.
It let me down.
Stop being sorry, Harry.
I had high expectations.
Harry,
for this
stop
game.
being sorry.
That's a shame. I'm almost kind of sad to hear that You were let down.
Somebody needs to play the song of healing on Harry.
No, he might die. He just looks you dead in the eye. Oh, my soul's at peace.
Not before. Yeah! A power ballad.
It's all right, Harry. You can feel better by playing my skin flute.
Clark, your score, please.
It's just as blue as the ocarina.
It's a condition.
Has the spout and everything.
Condition.
All 7 of them.
All the holes.
Steve's like a sprinkler.
I'm so grossed out right now.
Hum that song I like. Yeah!
I think the devil has a shovel.
All right.
He's digging another level of hell for us.
All right, yeah, so I'm going to just throw my final thought. Or not my final thought. Shit. The score. Fuck!
Shit! Ah, shit! 2 fucks out of 1 shit.
I'm gonna give this 12 stray fairies out of 15. Also death to tingle. That is part of my score. Death to tingle.
Yeah, I don't know how to write that on the chart. You can put a check mark or a circle or something.
That's
what he did before.
Yeah, Hey guys, don't forget you can check us out on iTunes. Feel free to leave us a review if you like. We'll be sure to read it in the next episode. I think we've got one tonight. Harry, shoot.
All right, this is titled Funny Guys and Cool Games. This is from the Ginger 82. These guys are great, and what's better than video games and drinking? Thank you, Ginger.
Thank you, Ginger.
Thank you, Ginger.
Thanks, Ginger. The next game we're going to be playing is Mass Effect.
Yeah.
The original.
I'm excited. I love Mass Effect. I really think.
We're going to get Shep all over the place. Shep City.
Shep all over your face.
I know nothing about this game.
I know very little about Mass Effect, actually, to my utter shame.
And we should have a special guest for you listeners out there.
Ooh, presents.
Ooh, someone you haven't heard before.
Jay Travolta.
We got John fucking Travolta.
Sandy.
No, we're not doing that again.
We got to go through the mass relay.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the Majora's Mask deconstruction review. We'll be back soon.
Death to tingle.
Game